This is gonna be a hard question. So sit back, relax, and stay focused till the end. Hi everyone, my name is Shankar, and in this video we'll talk about a super problem related to arrays. The problem goes this way. We are given an array and we have to find the maximum value of j minus I such that the element at index j is greater than element at index I in the array. So here's the example. In this array, we have to find maximum j minus I such that element at index j is greater than, not equals to, element at index I. And now, if I start such that I is here and j is here, and I go through entire cases, that means for every I and j from I plus 1 till the end, in that case I will just take every pair, calculate the difference if that satisfies this condition, and then store it in a variable that will be our result. Okay, so what we will do in this case? Okay, for I equals to 0, I is less than n, and I plus plus, where n is the size of this vector. Alright, and these are indices of these elements. So n will store 9 and it will move from 0 to 8. Now for all this, for j equals to I plus 1, j is less than n, j plus plus. Now I will get all possible pairs. And now if aj is greater than ai, then if answer is less than j minus I, then answer will be updated, where answer was an integer value initialized with 0. Okay, because it's getting a hodgepodge, so let's rub some of it. You get the idea. Okay, integer this, and this, and this. Alright, this was a simple approach, but its complexity is order n square, and that is the worst part of it. It is a simple solution but with very high time complexity. So let's optimize the solution. Now, second solution, that is optimized from order n square, will have complexity n log n. And what we will do in this is using BERT technique. Now what this BERT stands for? Bottleneck, unnecessary, and duplicates. What I mean by this is that suppose in this case, if I look all these elements, I will find that suppose there is a case that there is 33 and there is 80, and this 30 won't work, because if we are moving to the left, the j is moving to the left, this means the element was not big enough to satisfy this condition. So if j is moving to left, this means the element should increase. If it is decreasing, then that element is of no use. So what we will be doing now is we will have an array, auxiliary array. Now what we will do with this is, I understand that if the element is at right, then it is smaller, and if it is going to left, then it has to be larger, otherwise it is of no use. So I will have 1 here because it is the best here, then 33 will help. But if I got 30, then it is of no use. It's better to have 33 here, and if my solution works with this, then it will increase my j minus I here. Same way, if I go there, then it can help. So 80 will be here. But if I am coming here, this means that I am reducing the value of j and reducing the value of aj as well. So it should also store 80, 80, 80, 80 and 80, because I want elements to at least not decrease if I am moving to left for j. Now this way we will create an auxiliary array, okay? And now for every I where n is the size of vector, okay, I will just do an upper bound thing. Now those who don't know upper bound, let me tell you. If I have 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if I am asked to find the upper bound of 2, then it will return this. This means index 2. These are indices. But if I am supposed to find, suppose, upper bound of 3, then because 3 is not present here, so it will return this, because 3 should be here and rest of elements including this should move ahead one step, okay? So I hope you understand the idea of upper bound, and that has a complexity of log, because that is an application of binary search only. So what we will do here is, I got this, and now before this I also need to create the auxiliary array in my code. So let's write the code for this array, auxiliary array. Now what we are going to do in this is, we will create an auxiliary array that can be a vector as well of integer type. The name should be maximum from and camel casing, and I can start it with size n, or I can start it with size n plus 1. It will help me, I'll tell you how. And because I'll store maximum, so it should be initialized with int min. Simple. Now I would also start it with 0, but all numbers will be positive is not given in the question. So after this 4, alright, first let's declare some variables. N is already given in the function, you can take, or we can easily find it out if it is a vector. So that's not something I'm going to declare here. I will declare I, j, and I'll just declare more variables if I will need later on. Before that, I'll tell you why I took this size n plus 1. So what I'm going to do, suppose this is the auxiliary array, and what I'll be doing, I'll be updating 1 here, 33 here, 33 here, then 80 and 80 up to here, okay? Now if I declare this of size n, then I am to initialize this index with this, and on these all I will just write maximum from end. This is just an abbreviation, don't mind. This I will have maximum from MFE I plus 1 and AI. Now, because I don't want it to do this and this separately, I created the auxiliary with extra size, and now this condition will apply up to here, and this can stay int min. So this extra initialization will be avoided by this. So for I equals to n minus 1, I is greater than equals to 0, I minus minus max from and at index I will have maximum of max from and at index I plus 1 and AI. Now, when I take maximum of these two, I will get the value to be stored at this index. And now, this auxiliary array is initialized. After this, we will traverse through entire array for I and now, because for every element I will do an upper bound search, so int low, high, okay, so low will be initialized with I plus 1, okay, answer will be a variable, result will be a variable, initialized with 0. So low is I plus 1, high is n minus 1, and while low is less than equals to high, what I'll be doing is j will hold central element, that's middle element, so low plus high upon 2, because this is an integer, so it will not hold any float value, it will hold an integer, that will be a proper index. So j will hold this, and now if element at index I is less than equals to element at index j in this auxiliary array, because I am not storing those stupid values that will help me. So only this 1, then 33, then 80 will be considered, because this is what gonna help me if I am reducing my j. So this is then max from and at index j. If this condition is satisfied, then what I am gonna do is I will update my low to mid plus 1. What I mean by mid? J only. Alright. And my answer for this current case will be, now this condition is satisfied, so answer will have maximum of answer, okay, because there may be a lot of times I will encounter this condition because here is a while loop, so answer should be updated like this. I am not storing j minus I here, I am storing j here only. This can be updated later simply, okay? So yes, and answer should be initialized with something. So with what I should initialize it? It can be initialized with a lot of small values, but I know that it can have values after, sorry, before this. So answer will have I initially. Now if this condition is satisfied, then I'll be updating it this way. Otherwise, the high variable will be updated as j minus 1. So this if is condition completed, else is completed, and now this while to be closed, and after this I can update my result as, now result was initialized with 0. So result will have maximum of result and j minus I. I will just close this for loop. Everyone pay attention. I wrote j minus I here, but I wanted to write maximum of j minus I. So instead of j minus I, we should write answer minus I. Thank you. And return my result. So let's go through this again. What I am doing is creating an auxiliary array with size n plus 1 in order to reduce an extra initialization, then declaring some variables that I will be using throughout this program, then initializing this entire auxiliary matrix, auxiliary array this way. Then for every I am creating the condition that will give me upper bound that satisfy this condition, and after that the j will store the index that can work, the maximum index, because it is updating every time whenever the condition is satisfied. So after this all, the result will be stored like this, j minus I, because that will be our answer, and then we'll return this, and I can just close this entire function that was passed with the array and the size of array that can be n. Okay, so this is our second approach that has order n plus n log n. So I can say that it is of order n log n. Now it was a really good question, but now it will be better when we will solve this question with complexity order n only. So let's understand how we can do that. So now, third approach. After solving the previous question, we can understand that auxiliary arrays can help a lot, and that's what we're going to implement in this approach that will solve this question in linear time complexity. So let's see how. We will have two auxiliary arrays. First, that will be max from last or max from end, anything, max from end, that will hold the same thing, 1, 33, 33, 80, 80, 80, 80, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 80 and 80. Alright, this is maximum from end. Now I will have another array that will hold minimum from left. Now why minimum from left? Because I understand that if I am moving to the left, if j is moving to the left, then that is because the element was not big enough to satisfy the condition. So J move left. Now why I will move ahead? Because the I at current position is very big to satisfy the condition. So I will move ahead in order to reduce the value at index I. So 34 here, then 8 here, 8 here, 3 here, 2 here, 2, 2, 2 and 1. Now this is a reducing array, reducing from left, and this is also a reducing array if we look from the left, but it is actually an increasing array from the right. You see the difference? This is for I and this is for J. So what I am going to do in this is both will start from the same index, okay? And if J can increase ahead, then it's good. The value of J minus I will also increase if J will increase. But if J can't increase, then I will increase. Then what will happen? Definitely we are reducing the value of J minus I for that instant. But if I is reduced, then there is high possibility that J can increase later on. In essence, what we are going to do, we will first create two auxiliary arrays, then we will simply write the condition while I is less than n and j is less than n, small n, where I and j both are initialized with 0. Then while this is the condition, if j can be increased, increase j, otherwise j can't be increased, so I has to be increased, so I to be increased, so increase I, and at every instant I will take j minus I, and if that can work, then that's good. So I'll just keep on storing maximum of j minus I, and after all this I'll get my answer. So let's start coding it. So first I'll create two auxiliary arrays. So vector should work, vector of integer. Okay, first I'll write maximum from end. So if I write m f e, maximum from end of size n plus 1, you know why that is a better solution? Int min, because if it is storing maximum, okay, you might think that why m for max, m for min. So max fe, max from end, n plus 1 is size, this is the initialized value. Same way, there should be a vector of integer type min from starting, or I can write left, but that doesn't matter. N plus 1 is the size, and now because it is storing min, so int max should be initialization value, right? Now I have to fill these two vectors, okay? So before that I need to initialize some integers. So I will be there, j will be there, result will be there, that can be initialized with -1. Doesn't matter, I can start it with 0 as well, that doesn't matter. Ultimately it's gonna be the right answer only. So after this, for max from and will hold maximum of max from and, okay, at ith index. It will hold max from and at index I plus 1, or in this array at index I. Simple. Let's close this. For I equals to 0 and I is less than, okay, what I should do here is min from starting at index 0 will have value at index 0, because for 0 I can't consider index I minus 1, so it need to be declared here. So okay, and should work. Why to take extra byte of memory? Okay, now for I equals to 1, I is less than n, minimum from starting at index I will hold minimum of min fs at index I minus 1 and ai. Now up to here we declared auxiliary arrays, initialize some variables that will be helpful, filled these two auxiliary arrays, and now I will have 0, j will have 0, and writing it here, while I is less than n, I can write and as well. C++ STL, that means C++17 has this as a keyword, and j is less than n. What we have to do is, if j can be increased, what do I mean by j can be increased? Min from side at I is less than max, min from start at index I is less than max from and at index j. If this condition is satisfied, then j plus plus. Otherwise, if this condition is not satisfied, then I plus plus. After this means at every iteration one of these two things will update, either I or j, and then my result will also be updated as maximum of result that was up to now and j minus I. So after this I'll return result, and that will be our answer. So close this function. So let me go through this again. What we did, created two auxiliary arrays, maximum from end, minimum from starting, declared some variables that will be useful throughout this program. Then I just filled this auxiliary array that stores maximum from end this way simply, and because min from starting has to be initialized with this way, we can't have negative index, -1 is not a valid index, so I will initialize at index 0 directly. After this, both auxiliary arrays are declared and initialized. then I and j will be initialized with 0 again, and while both are note and end, then either we will increase j if that is possible. Basically that will increase difference, that is a comment, okay. Otherwise, more opportunities, simple. So I am doing one of these two things and storing my result. After storing result, through this I'll return my answer. Now this is of order n, this is also of order n, and this is also of order n. So I can write that n plus n plus n, that is of 3n. So ultimately this algorithm is of order n only. So I hope you understood the concept. I'll suggest you to think about this, try to implement it on your own as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you next time. Take care. Bye bye.